Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel today. My name is King Chiagozo, and as usual, I will be giving you some tips on how to make your keyboard skills better. The name of this channel is Piano Music and Entertainment. Please refer your friends to subscribe so that we can make this a very big community. On today's episode of Piano Music and Entertainment, I'm going to show you how to split the keyboard. I want you to learn how to make the keyboard to have two different sounds when you are playing. It tends to make the melody sweeter. It tends to give people the impression that you're a professional than when you are using only a single voice. I remember a few years back then, I was already a good keyboard player. I could play worship, praises, Highlife, Makosa, you name it. But I was making use of a voice that was called ocarina or flute. No matter what I played, people were enjoying the sound. But one day, one guy came from outside to play in our church. Now that guy played and his keyboard was split. Like when he was playing, you'll be hearing two different sounds. For example, okay, let me show you a demo now. This is the jazz guitar side. This is the bass side. So, okay, let's do it this way. So I want you to imagine what happened that day. For example, they will be singing a song like, "Come, let's praise the Lord, come, let's praise the Lord." Now, as a keyboardist already, I know the progression of the song, I know the melody and everything, but I didn't know how to set the keyboard at all. So I may be playing something like this. Come, let's praise the Lord, come, but that guy came. He didn't use the setting I was using. He didn't bother to use the voice I was using. He splitted the keyboard into two different sounds. So that made his own to be better than the one I was playing. Just watch the difference in what I will do now. That's not where I'm going now. Did you notice the difference? It wasn't as if I played anything extraordinary in this second one. The difference mainly came from the change in the sound or the voice. So that was when I came to realize that keyboard is not really all about your skills. Skills is important too. But if your sound is not well set, you just be like a professional athlete that just came back from an Olympic swimming competition and they gave you a basin of water to swim inside. No matter how skillful you are, you just be wasting your time. So after the service, I asked the guy to teach me how to split keyboard. You know how some musicians used to do. He refused to teach me. Maybe he felt I would be a rival or a competitor to him. But I'm not like that. I'm going to show you guys how to split your keyboard so that it will have two different voices. For today, the one I want to use now is bass guitar. I want bass to be coming into the keyboard, and I want something that sounds like lead to be coming into it so that the sound will be balanced. But you may decide not to use the one I'm using here. You may decide to use another one. Like you may decide to use ocarina and tenor sax, solo string and grand piano, and so on and so forth. No matter the one you decide to use, the sum of everything is we are going to mix two different voices together. Then when we combine it, it will give us a balanced and sweeter sound. So let's go. Now, before you can split your keyboard, the first step, you need to know the voices that you want to use. Do you know the name of the voices that you want to combine together? Do you want to combine grand piano and tenor sax? Do you want to combine organ and accordion? Do you want to combine string and guitar and so on and so forth? Do you want to combine trumpet and bass? So the first thing is to know the name of the voices that you want to combine together. Now, for this tutorial now, I want to combine a voice that is called solo string. solo, SOLOSTIEN, INE. Now, depending on the model of the keyboard you are using, the voice will be different. That's the number for the voice will be different. But there's a trick to find out the number for the voice you are looking for. For example, now, if you look at this part of the keyboard, you see a place where they wrote voice. Now, if I'm looking for anything that relates to guitar, you see this number, 40. I will now press this button, voice. I'll come to this place and press 40. After pressing the 40, if you notice, the display screen here will change. Now, you see voices that rhymes with guitar. You see classic guitar, folk guitar, jazz guitar, and so on and so forth. So the same thing happens. If you are looking for example, in this tutorial now, I may tell you that the number for jazz guitar is 44 in this keyboard that I'm using here. But in the keyboard that you are using, if it's not the same model, the number for jazz guitar will be different in your own. So you have to find another way of recognizing the number in your keyboard. Like I said, just go to this place they wrote voice. Since you know you are looking for guitar, look for the number for guitar. Then you scroll or you use this plus button to be plusing it until you see the name of the voice that you are looking for. If you are looking for something that is connected to string, as usual, look at this place, you see 70. You press 70 here. Then you can start scrolling. You start seeing different kinds of string-related instruments and so on and so forth. Did you get what I'm saying? All right. Now, for this keyboard, the thing I want to combine is jazz guitar and solo string. The solo string, I want it to be giving me a feeling of bass. Like I want it to be a sort of bass that I'll be adding to my keyboard, the keyboard that I'm playing. So first of all, when you want to split keyboard, your keyboard, we have two major sections, your right hand side and your left hand side. Now, any voice that you want, for example, if you want to use jazz guitar and you want jazz guitar to be sounding on the right hand part of your keyboard, just press voice. If you press voice like this now, you press the number for jazz guitar. Like I said before, the number varies based on the model of the keyboard that you are using. But if you don't know the number of jazz guitar in your keyboard, just come to this place, look in your keyboard, check what they wrote there. Once you see guitar, you can now scroll till you see the one that is bearing the name jazz guitar. Now that I've selected jazz guitar, the next thing I will do now, I will click on this button, function. If I click on function, this is what will appear on my screen. You see this plus button near this place they wrote category. There is another plus button, the one that comes together with number 1 to 9. That is not the number that you're going to make use of. You're going to make use of the other one. Now, I'll keep my hand on this place they wrote plus, depending on the model of the keyboard you are using. I'll be tapping the plus button. What I'm looking for now is where they wrote M volume. This place they wrote M volume. In most keyboard, you see something that the M volume, when they say M volume, that means they want you to set how high the sound of the right hand part of the keyboard will be sounding. Like that jazz guitar that I added that time, how do I want the volume to be? Now the M volume now is in 84, right? Now this M volume, I will increase it to 120, or I can decide to increase it to 127. Everything depends on you, but it should not be lower than 120 for the best experience. Just select between 120 and 127, anyone you want, but for now I'm selecting 127. So you can change your M volume to 127. Then you will now go to that plus button here again. I will now tap it. It will now show me a place where they wrote M octave. If the octave is not in -1, maybe when you press it, you may see something like 0. It may be in 0, it may be in +1, +2, it may be in minus, but just change it to minus. If you want to change it, like if it's not a minus sign already. Now, if you notice, this was the button I was using that time I pressed this button, this function on top. But after I've selected the feature that I want on the screen and I want to adjust it, I will not make use of these two again. I will not make use of this plus and minus sign that has numbers attached to it. So I will change it to -1. After I change it to -1, the next step, because when you are splitting keyboard, first thing is to select the general voice. Then you go to M octave, select 120 or 127 or a number between 120 to 127. After that, you now go to M octave, you change it to -1, right? After changing it to -1, you click the function button again and you continue scrolling. You see where they wrote M reverb, change it to 44. Don't change any other setting, keep on scrolling. You keep on scrolling till you see a place where they wrote S voice. Now this is my S voice. If you watch, what they wrote here is my finger bars. When they say X is referring to the left part of your keyboard. Since I was splitting my keyboard and I want the right hand side to be sounding like jazz guitar, now the S voice or the S part is how my left hand side will be sounding, right? Now if you watch the screen, it's already preset that the sound or the voice for the left hand side is finger bars. If you like finger bars, there's nothing wrong with it. You can leave it this way. But me, I prefer solo string, and in this keyboard, solo string is 5. Let me scroll. Okay, 568. It's either you use 568 or you scroll to 500 and something to find out this voice that is called solo string, or you leave it in that finger bars, that original voice finger bars. Whether you use solo string or you use finger bars, both of them are doing the same work. Both of them will make your keyboard, will make the bass line or the bass line of the song to be coming out when you start playing. Now, after you have selected the voice for the left hand side of the keyboard, which is the S voice, you go and tap your function button again and you keep on scrolling. You now see a place where they wrote S volume. Remember that M volume, after you selected the M voice in the beginning part, you adjusted the M volume, then you adjusted the M octave, right? So the same way you adjusted the M volume, we are going to adjust the S volume too. Here, the S volume is in 80. I'm going to select 115. The goal is just to select a voice that is lower than the volume you selected for the M side of the keyboard. Two of them should not be exactly the same because this is bars now. You don't want the bars to overshadow the other part of the right hand side of the keyboard. You can select 115 or any other number you like. Then you go back to this button, you keep on scrolling. After volume, the next thing is the octave. Remember that when you were setting the M part of the keyboard, that's the right hand part of the keyboard, that the M octave was in -1, right? But here, because you want the bars to come out, if you leave it in -1, the bars will be too noisy for you. So you change it to, you press plus here, this button here. If I press it, it will now change from -1 to 0. Did you see what I did now? Now this 0 is okay for me. Then I'll keep on scrolling. The next thing I will look for is a place where they wrote split point. Now, split point is in 58. What they mean by the word split point is, for example, this is 1 octave, this is 2 octave, 2nd octave, 3rd octave, 4th octave, 5th octave, and so on and so forth. Now, since I want my keyboard to be bringing out two different voices or two different sounds, this split point will now determine from which side of the keyboard you want the M side to be coming out, and from which side of the keyboard you want the S side to be coming out. Now, the split octave on the keyboard now is in 58, and that's somewhere around this side. So that means from this side will be sounding like bass, and from this side will be sounding like the jazz guitar part. If you want this whole side to be sounding like bass, you can decide to increase the split point and so on and so forth. But for me, I prefer to use a split point of 59. If you watch, there's a mark here to show you that the split point I selected is somewhere around this side, which means from here to here will be sounding like bass, and from here to here will be sounding like my jazz guitar. Now that you are through with selecting your M voice, your M octave, your M volume, your S voice, your S octave, your S volume, and your split point, next thing is to scroll to transpose. When you go to transpose now, this is where you now select the key you want to use when you are playing the keyboard. This is my transpose button. Now that I'm through with all my settings, I will now look for the part of the keyboard where there's a key where they wrote the word split. The setting may be different in your own keyboard, but for this keyboard, look at where it's located. You see this button now. There's the word split, S-P-L-I-T, written on top of it. Then you now press that button. Once you press the split button, all those settings you were doing that time will now start manifesting. For example, now that's the jazz guitar part, that's the bass part. So let's watch it and see what. So let's see how the setting sounds like now.